What is going on, beautiful people? It is your boy Ace Salmon here, back to the video, and today we are going to be ranking the remaining teams left in March Madness. As you guys know, this past weekend we had our first two rounds of March Madness, the round of 64 and the round of 32, and we are now down to the Sweet 16, and I'm super excited. As you guys know, there's not been a lot of upsets in this tournament, but that means that these teams are the best of the best, and that means we will begin absolute cinema in these next couple rounds. Before I do get into my list, I'm going to ask you guys for a huge favor, and that is if you guys can subscribe to the boy. It would mean the absolute world to me if you guys can click that subscribe button. I've been working hard, and help me at 500, man. It would really mean the world to me, so can you guys please do it? Thank you, it would be much appreciated. Also, make sure to like the video and make sure to comment any recommendations or feedback down below. But let's get right into this list and power ranking right now. As you see, the 16 teams remaining are Duke, Arizona, Alabama, BYU, Florida, Maryland, Texas Tech, Arkansas, which is the lowest seed remaining, or high seed technically, my bad, Houston, Purdue, Tennessee, Kentucky, Auburn, Michigan State, and Ole Miss. We're going to make this quick. Starting off at the 16 spot, I have Arkansas. Arkansas got Boogie Flam back, and this team has been really good in the tournament, beating Kansas and St. John's. You know, St. John's losing kind of sucked. Everyone was really rooting for them, but Arkansas has proved they have a chance and they can stand up. Coach Cal, you know Coach Cal. He's been at Kentucky forever, first year at Arkansas, and he's proven this year to be a success. So I think that, you know, Arkansas, they have a great team. They have a lot of talent, but I just think that Texas Tech will be too much for them, and I think that they will not be able to advance past the round of 16, aka the Sweet 16. Coming in at the 15 spot, I have Ole Miss. Ole Miss has had a great run, and I'm gonna be honest with you, if they've been playing like they have been the first two rounds, they can beat Michigan State. Michigan State has started off slow. They've had close games, and Michigan State is not the best shooting team. They're very susceptible for an upset, but Michigan State is a great team. I'm not betting against Tom Izzo in March. So, unfortunately, I'm going to put Ole Miss at the 15 spot. Now at 14, we got Maryland. Maryland, they have been pretty rock solid all tournament, you know. They're led by Derek Queen, who in my opinion is going to end up becoming a top 10 pick. His skill set is very good. He reminds me a lot of DeMarcus Cousins. Very good player. I think that Derek Queen is the future. I think that he is super good. But I just think that, man, this Florida team, they are destined. That game against UConn told me a lot. They played awful. That was not their day. Any other team should have lost, but their biggest player stepped up in the biggest moment. Walter Clayton Jr. took over that game, and that's an off day for them. They realistically should have won that game by a little more, but UConn put up a tough fight. But I mean, when you do that, man, that really impressed me. The defended national champions were not going out without a fight, and Florida had a dogfight with them that most teams would have not been able to handle, but Florida handled it well, and I think that Florida will be able to beat this Maryland team. Maryland, they have a lot of good players, but the bench scoring, just they don't have a bench, man, and that's going to kill you against Florida. Not having a bench, your starters aren't going to be able to play every minute and score every point. I like Maryland, but I think that it is over for them. I think that the Sweet 16 is as far as they're going to go. Next up, we have BYU. BYU is a interesting team in my opinion because they have been red hot as of recent, but I mean, they haven't beat anyone like big. They've played Houston 3 times this year, and they have not been competitive with Houston at all. But man, they have a very good team. Richie Saunders is the leader of that team, and he's been playing lights out. And then also, Iger Demon's been stroking the ball well from 3, and he is a guy that was been talked about as a lottery pick. He's a 6'9" shooting guard that is very good at basketball. So they are a team that can give you problems. I just do not like the matchup with Alabama. I just think that Mark Sears and Bama, the Crimson Tide, will be too much for them, which is why they are so low. But man, I really like this BYU team, and I think that, you know, they have a chance, man, against Bama. I mean, they are a good team. They have good pieces. I think that Bama has definitely been out of this tournament, so they can compete, man. Right now, the opening line for that game for Bama and BYU is 5.5 points, so it is definitely not out of reach. I definitely think that BYU has a shot, but I just think that Alabama is a bad matchup for them. Alabama has a very fast pace of play, and I don't know if that fits BYU. Next up, we have Purdue. Purdue, man, they have been a consistently good team over the past few years. Obviously, they took that upset in the first round a couple years ago to Fairleigh Dickinson, but man, they've been consistently good, and credit to Matt Painter. He has built this team very well. Braden Smith, fantastic point guard. He is a great player. I could definitely see him being an NBA player. Trey Kaufman, great player too, but they are going to be playing the Houston Cougars. I love Cougars, but that is a lot. The Houston Cougars are a lot to deal with, and I just don't think that they can handle that, man. I just don't think they can handle the Houston Cougars. I think this is the year of Houston. Houston has been really good, and I think finally they have seniors, they have offense, The question is what in the past has been their offense, but this year they actually have an offense, and I think that is just going to be too much to handle, and I just do not see Purdue making it past Houston. Next up, we have Arizona. Arizona and Caleb Love, man, they are a very, 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 very good team. I mean, their offense is electric. I saw their defense against Oregon. They made plays. They are resilient. They came back from down 17 early against Oregon. I think it was 17. It was a lot of points. But, man, they are going into a train. They're playing the national champion favorites, Duke, and Cooper Flagg, who's going to be the number 1 overall pick in the draft, and Kneppel, who's going to be a top 10 pick. They are playing a very, very hard team to play against, and I just think that Duke is too much for Arizona, man. I think Caleb Love's a great player. I think he'll have his game, but I just think that Duke is just too good, man, and I just do not see Duke coming short of the Final Four. Next up, we have Kentucky. Kentucky is at this number 10 spot. I know they beat Tennessee twice. But I just don't see them beating Tennessee a third time. But I think it'll be a close game. They definitely could. But in my opinion, I just don't think they'll beat the same team 3 times in a season. But even if they make it past Tennessee, I just don't see them going that far. Credit to Mark Pope, though. He has definitely had a successful first year at Kentucky, building upon what Coach Cal left. And I think that he's a great coach, and I think they should be very excited about their future. But even if they win, I just don't see them beating Houston. So I am taking Tennessee to beat Kentucky. And leading off that, we're going to have Tennessee at the number 9 spot. I mean, Tennessee, I think, can beat Kentucky. I think they've played a couple times this season. I just see this Tennessee team, great team. The Vols have been absolutely electric. You know, they beat UCLA. And Kentucky, though, man, Kentucky is a good team, man. They just beat Illinois pretty badly, but I just see the Vols. I just don't think they'll lose to the Kentucky 3 times in a year, man. I really like this matchup. It's going to be a great game, though. Don't get me wrong. Right now, the spread on Kentucky and Tennessee is going to be a close one, I'm assuming. I'm assuming it's going to be about 4 points. Kentucky, Tennessee. Yep, 4.5 points Tennessee's favored by, and I think Tennessee will cover that, and I think Tennessee will win. But Tennessee is at the number 9 spot because they have, again, a tough matchup after. They're playing the Cougs, Houston, and I think that Houston is just going to be too much for Tennessee, and that's why they're at this number 9 spot, man. I like Tennessee. I like what they've done, but that is a very tough path for them. Next up, we have Michigan State. All right, before we go into Michigan State and why they are at this number 8 spot, let me tell y'all about Michigan State, in my opinion. Michigan State is a team, in my opinion, that has not been shooting the ball well. I mean, obviously they've been shooting it well in the tournament, but they scare me, all right? They definitely scare me, and they don't really have a star player to lean on when stuff goes south. They are a very, they're a group-oriented team, which is good because that means if your best player is cold like St. John's, you're not going to lose off that. But that scares me, though, because who's going to take over the game when it's close? I mean, Jace Richardson's a great player. Atkins, great player. He's an older player, so he has experience. But it worries me, man. And when you're going against a team like Ole Miss, who's been red hot this tournament, whose offense has looked absolutely great. I mean, Chris Beard has led that team, and they've been incredible all tournament long. That's going to be tough. I think they get by Ole Miss, though. I think they will beat them. But like I said earlier, they are very susceptible for an upset, and I would not be surprised, man. Ole Miss has been balling. The shooting has not been that great for the Cougs, man. I mean, why am I saying the Cougs? I mean the Spartans. So if their shots off, I mean, Ole Miss has been shooting lights out. And if they get behind early, how are they going to will back if they can't shoot threes? So that's something that's very interesting to me. They are only 3.5 point favorites. That is definitely an upset watch for Michigan State, in my opinion. Next up, at the number 7 spot, I have their rivals, Michigan. Y'all are going to be like, why are you having Michigan this high? I'm a Michigan truther, man. Michigan against Auburn is a very, very good matchup for Michigan, in my opinion. Michigan is what? They are 7-point underdogs, right? No, 9. Wow, it went up to 9. But Michigan is led by 2 7-footers with a bunch of size. Donaldson's a great player. I think that Michigan could give Auburn a lot of trouble, especially with 2 7-footers. Their size is impeccable. Auburn has not been the hottest going in the tournament. They've been slacking a little. As you see, the first game, they were they were barely beating the 16 seed going into half. And then against Creighton, they were down at halftime. I think obviously they came back and won. But I think when you look at that, I think that Michigan has been a team that's been red hot, winning the Big Ten, who's been one of the better teams or better conferences in all of basketball this postseason. So I mean, when you look at that, they won the Big Ten. They beat A&M, who beat A&M, who beat Auburn. They also beat Wisconsin, Maryland, Purdue. All these teams, man, they've beat. And I think that when you look at that, Michigan has been red hot, and I think that they have a true chance of knocking off Auburn. Now, we got to go look at the number 6 spot. Who we have? Auburn, man. Auburn is led by Brony. I think that's how you say his name, Bruni. Johnny Bruni has been a great player, man. And this Auburn team is not a joke. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying this Auburn team is a joke whatsoever. When you have a guy that averages 18 points per game and is an All-American at the center position, that is not a joke. Who leads your team in every major category. I mean, they've played SEC ball all year. They've looked absolutely incredible. So when you look at that, Auburn is definitely a great basketball team, man. So it's crazy. But when you look at Auburn, they went cold before going in the tournament, and you do not want a team that goes cold before going in the tournament. But Auburn is a great team. I can't discredit their season at all. They have so much skill on their team, so it's hard to act like they aren't going to win this game because they have been dominant all year round. But I don't know. I got a gut feeling about this one. Auburn scares me in this spot, man. Next, coming in at the number 5 spot, we have Texas Tech. I really like this Texas Tech team. Obviously, they get the Arkansas matchup, which should be good for them. They should be able to advance to the next round, which should get them to the Elite 8, which means that they will have a matchup with Florida if Florida can win their game. I mean, Arkansas is only 5.5 point favored, so don't sleep on Coach Cal. But I really like this Florida Gators team. I really like this team. I mean, that's what they showed me against UConn, man. That's championship DNA right there. I really like this team. And then Texas Tech, I mean, they've been pretty consistent all tournament. Obviously, they're led by Toppin, who Toppin is one of the best players in the country, and he can lead a team in the national championship, in my opinion. He scares me a lot. I think Florida and Texas Tech would be an absolute dogfight. So that matchup worries me. Texas Tech is pretty high, though. And I like the Texas Tech team, man. I think that if they get by Florida, they could end up winning a national championship. But that is going to be a big test. But first, they have to get past Coach Cal. Coming in at the number 4 spot, we got Bama, man. I know what you're going to say. Bama has been struggling. I know, man. But it's hard to pick against this team that was in the Final Four last year, led by Mark Sears. Great team, man. They have Grant Nelson. They have a very high pace that I think they can outpace teams a lot. I mean, I just think they're a tough matchup for any team, and I like Alabama a lot, so that's why Alabama's at 4. Now, we're only down to 1 seeds, guys. At this number 3 spot, we have the University of Houston. I like the Cougars. I like everything they're doing. In my bracket, I have them in the national championship. I haven't beaten Duke, but what I've seen from Duke so far, Duke is going to be a very hard team to beat. Cooper Flag looks fine, which that was my big concern heading in the tournament, and dude, Duke has just looked incredible. There's a reason why they're the tournament favorites. But Houston, like I said, they have experience. They're older. They have an offense finally. So they are a very scary team, in my opinion. Coming in at this number 2 spot, we got Duke, obviously led by Cooper Flag, the number 1 overall pick. You got Kneppel out there, who's been shooting lights out. You also have some other players. Proctor, who's been, again, shooting lights out. I think he's missed 4 3-pointers all tournament. He's made like 14. He's been killing it, man. So this Duke team's definitely not a joke. They also have a lottery pick center. So they are a very scary team. Very bad matchup for anyone else. And there's a reason why they're at number 2. I think the Florida Gators are going to win the national championship, but I just think that Duke is a great team. And I could definitely see them winning the national championship. Don't get me wrong, though. They're odds-on favorite. I hate picking the odds-on favorite, man. They always let me down. So that's probably why Duke's at number 2. But in my opinion, it could be 1A, 1B. But at the number 1 spot, like I said, we get the Florida Gators, led by Clayton Jr. This team has been lights out all year long, man. And I think that they will finish the job. They are just incredible. And I'm going to be honest with you guys, all 4 number 1 seeds have historic KenPom ratings and have been historically good this year. I mean, in my opinion, we have never seen a tournament like this. This has been one of the teams are the best they've ever been, man. Usually a team like Tech or whatchamacallit, Michigan State, they would be up there, man, to contend, but no one, I mean, it's just crazy, man. I'm speechless talking about how good this tournament is. It's going to be absolutely incredible this weekend of basketball. You're going to see a lot of high-level basketball, and all these teams are really good, man. And at the end of the day, anyone could win this tournament. I'm just ranking, in my opinion, who I think is the most likely is to win the tournament. So if you guys have any disagreements or anything you guys want to talk about in the comment section down below, make sure to comment, man. I'm always good to talk. You know, I just make these videos for good vibes. I have fun with it. So yeah, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.